Welcome back to Radio Toni Everyday Business. This is your host, Toni Lontis, and I have another exciting interview for you today. With me and on the line waiting to discuss life, love and meditation is Suzanne Thompson, and she's the founder of Soul Archaeology. She's a CEO activator, meditation guide, Reiki master and storyteller. So she, in 2017, the 15-year marriage that Suzanne was holding on to so tightly, that was so toxic for her family's health, well-being and safety, was at risk. In an instant, Suzanne was a solo parent with 2 children under the age of 4 years old, jobless, homeless and chronically stressed. Suzanne began a journey of transforming from a crisis mediator, 15 years, to cultivating a daily meditation practice with the assistance of many teachers. And these are all accessible on Hey House Meditation podcast. She continually immersed herself in a meditation yoga practice and a forever growing list of ancient and complementary textbooks, solo parenting her 2 beautiful children under 8 and growing Soul Archaeology as an entrepreneur. This has enabled Suzanne to widen her street and witness that everyone, no matter what age, has 3 essentials to be loved, honoured and listened to. And these needs, when not being met personally, professionally or privately, means you're stressed. As a translator of the wisdom of meditation and yoga, Suzanne uses these applications to purposefully assist anyone in a holistic discovery of the tools you need in your being toolbox. I'm really delighted today to have Suzanne live with me, and we're going to talk about all things growth, healing, learning, and meditation. Good afternoon, Suzanne.
Thank you, Toni. I'm deeply honoured to be in your presence and presence with everyone as well.
Oh, that's such a lovely thing to say. The honour is actually all mine because I'm like you, and I believe that storytelling helps people so much. So I'm wondering if we can just step back in time to that period when your life was not so great and when your marriage started to dissolve, just so people can understand what your decision-making process was and why you made the decisions you did at that time. Ending a 15-year marriage is no mean feat, and I'm guessing that we probably need to mention that no one leaves a marriage without a huge amount of thought, guilt, shame and disbelief. So what was it like at that time, Suzanne?
For me, it was the crescendo that needed to happen. So in that moment, if I look back, there was all those things that you said. And it was, and for the father of the children and my husband then to walk out was tough, but the thing is that it needed to, as I said, it just needed to happen. And then the losing of the job came pretty much straight away because I couldn't perform. I was working in the government.
Absolutely.
And so,
in a tough job, nevertheless. Don't let anyone think that mediation is easy. It's incredibly difficult, challenging and stressful. And you add to that 2 little people, marriage ending and everything falling apart. What a terrible time, Suzanne.
Yeah. So for me, it was just I went straight into survival mode.
Yes.
And that is the first mechanism that we do. Humans do it. It's not just a female thing or a mother thing. No. It's actually a human action.
Yeah.
And it's that, as we know, it's going back into the sort of primal mode that we've come from, being Homo sapiens sapiens. So we do that, and I chose not to put myself first.
Yes.
And I think that was the biggest lesson that I realized, that or the biggest teaching is that that's what we need to always do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not a selfish act. That's actually an act of self-love, self-compassion, self-worth, all of that. And so to try and heal it, fix it, distance worked, but then it was I still had two little people.
Yes. Yes.
And when I say little people, it was like they just needed me to advocate for them to be able to explain their emotions. But even I've admitted, and I've talked with them a lot now that they're older.
Yes.
Not that much older, but they're still older, that I've gone through a deep forgiveness process with them. I've worked through that to say that I've honoured that I wasn't present for them, and then, you know, bring that forward, and how we came to that, honouring that forgiveness, but not being present, actually presented itself in 2020.
Yes.
When yet again we were consciously the whole world was put into some form of lockdown or retreat, and that gave me traumatic experience.
Yes.
And so with that, I got to sit a lot more. I got to be present a lot more. Yes. And so it's and then accepting that you are unable, no one is able to go into the past and change anything that has happened, and we can't force the future either. So we just have to be here. Yes. And so I do a lot of being.
Yes, it's a great word,
so
isn't it? Being.
Yeah.
Being.
And so that's sort of where I was, and still to this day, those lessons will pop up.
Yes, they do, don't they? They just keep see that you've really learnt that lesson, got that thank you, universe.
And then a test, and it's okay, because then is that it's then learning how to not react in a pressure cooker way.
Yes.
And come at it from what need isn't being met. It's my need. Normally it's, so as I said, so for me it was what needs weren't being met. Yeah. And now it means that I can apply that principle to anyone.
Yes.
Let it be yourself, or another teacher, or the kid, or the squids as I call them, or the children that I teach and guide in having a meditation practice. So that's where we're at.
Back then, when you were going through all this, and in the aftermath, that's when you decided to grow Soul Archaeology as an entrepreneur, wasn't it, Suzanne? It sort of Soul Archaeology came out of that time that you'd been through, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. So basically, I was deep. So I chose. Oh no, I didn't choose. I shouldn't say that. One of my teachers, the universe passes that. So I'm just going to wind down my window a bit. This is live TV, everyone. So, I'm getting a little bit warm in the old back seat of the car.
Suzanne is sitting beside the beach, which is a lovely, peaceful place to do a live interview.
Cars driving past the window. So yeah. Anyway, so through using Hay House meditations as a crisis meditator, like I was basically just every time, crap hit the fan, I'd meditate and think things would get better, but not continue with the daily practice.
Yeah.
And then for me, what ended up happening was some meditations would resonate, other meditations wouldn't. And it was more about sounds, and I realized that there was all these connections between sounds and voice and
Subconscious
words. Yeah. So graciously, I found David G, and I honour him as one of my many teachers. He is based in the States, in California, and he was the chief financial officer and then the dean of studies at the Chopra Center for over a decade. But he had then gone off onto his own, and he had this meditation teacher training, and it was a 16-week program.
Yes.
And it was and for me it was just, and it started with committing to meditating for 40 days.
Oh,
and,
wow.
So he, all pre-recorded. And so with that, to come back to your question, it was like I needed to find something that I knew I needed something that was going to shift the patterns continuously, because they were continually coming back. Yes. And so that's the whole thing. It's that whole repeat cycle. Yeah. And David's guides and teaching, and for me, even only last week or 2 weeks ago, I honoured his reading lists that he provided in the teacher training, because the books that I have in my library are still there. Yes. And they keep representing themselves to need to read. So to come through and just meditate and then actually establish practice. But the thing about what the benefit for me with David, and the biggest takeaway I had was that he wasn't just teaching one type of meditation. He actually went through the whole gamut.
And that was one of my questions I had, because I actually find guided meditation the most helpful for me, or particularly when I'm trying to sleep or have difficulty sleeping. The sound meditation, i.e. music or drums or frequency music, helps me sleep. So that was one of my questions, Suzanne. What did you find most helpful? Was it guided, or what was it for you?
Well, David's teachings, and also, and I mean, and as I said, and Deepak Chopra teaches it as well, and so and the Dalai Lama, Pema Chodron, we could list a multitude of teachers. Silence is what it's part of it, is actually finding stillness and silence. Yes. So initially, I had always started with guided meditations, and even Louise Hay and Dr. Wayne Dyer, as well. Eckhart Tolle and stuff, they would start with a guide, and I would resonate towards those guided meditations. So, but what's come out of this 4-year journey is, I have a twice daily meditation practice. They are different. The one that starts the day is different to the one that ends the day. But what I mean by end the day,
no, that was one of my other questions, was about I try and do twice daily too, and they are different.
Yeah. So the guided meditations. So when I am on the beach every morning, somewhere between 5 and 6:30. It technically is guided because I'm going through a process. Yes. The only time it is physically guided is if one of the squids joins me, or both of them, or if I have someone who wants to join me, which happens on and off over the year, depending on the weather. Some people aren't committed to come down in the rain. I am. And and then it is guided because it's spoken. Yes. So, but it's about that. When I say the silence, is that silence, that stillness. It's actually not silence. It's actually stillness. Yeah, may only need to last for a minute, but for me, it's usually somewhere about 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah, of stillness. in the mornings.
Yeah.
But there's an intention that I do set. There's a process. I ask myself the questions of who am I?
Yes.
What am I? What am I grateful for? Who am I grateful for? And then I just allow those to flow.
Yeah.
Because you can't stop. No one can empty the mind.
Yes.
No one.
Yeah, I agree. But you can
we have up to
that intention though, Suzanne. You can set and train your mind to focus on gratitude, etc., in a set time.
Yeah. So by then leading into like full yogic understanding and yogic practice, and David there was lots of because meditation is one of the arms of yoga, and then also I'm in the process of finalizing 500 hours of yoga teacher training to be a certified teacher as well.
Wow.
That was mainly for personal growth, I think, more so than wanting to teach, but it enables me to see so much more because it was more about the philosophy and where it all comes from.
Yes.
So, but there's also the ability to sound is very important. So the thing is that, and in the silence, to say the sounds silently resonates deeper into the light, into the soul. And so you can, even if that is just love, the word love, that's a sound. Or if it is a Sanskrit, or it is Om or Hamsa or whatever, it what resonates. And this is the thing, it's like there's so many different types of meditation, and I've people's voices resonate differently. I've spoken to some people, they're like, I prefer males because female voices don't resonate. And that's okay. So that's where, for me, has made me think about soul archaeology on how it would evolve and what it would be. So for me, it was like, I thought about teaching. I did. I thought about, wanted to share this gift, share it with other people. But then I realized, and only over the last 6 to 8 months, have I completely narrowed in on the purpose of soul archaeology, which is to dissolve all violence.
Yes.
Which is a powerful message.
Absolutely.
And that how one does that is by allowing humans to remain connected to the self, full stop. How do you do that? Teach kids.
And that's how we get to Soul Archaeology's mission, is to teach kids how to meditate. And
stillness, to find stillness. Is where I've realized that because meditation, people still think it's sitting cross-legged, saying Om, straight back, and all of that.
But it's not.
Sometimes
it's
still
so much more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as you said, and then your afternoon practice. I spend a lot of time in my afternoon practice in what's called yoga nidra, which is a yogic practice, which is it's not a reflection. I start with the reflection exercise, but most of the yoga nidra that I do now is guided. Because self-guided yoga nidra can sometimes be very, very challenging, and me, I appreciate it. So I've got a few teachers that I use. I'm one of these people that does prefer a male voice. I gratefully use Rod Stryker. He is, yet again, he's got his voice and his principles and his yoga nidra practices are beautiful. And they're what I need. And so I mainly do yoga nidra practice, and I do those. Don't do. My practice. I don't do yoga. I practice. So my practice is generally before I pick up the
kids from
squids, so that I can then be present for them from that moment on.
Absolutely.
So that's what, yeah.
Was that
so now I'm present for you, and I'm present for them.
That time when you pick the kids up from school. Now, my kids have long since grown up and left home, but I remember that time, that afternoon, the franticness, the hurriedness to get them home, get their bags unpacked, get them to sports, homework. Like, it's really quite full on. So gosh, I wish I'd known half the things that I know now. I knew back then, but like the whole concept and why I was so excited about talking to you today was the concept of opening that practice to our children, because if we start them as children, that has the capacity to calm and change the world. The more children we teach these wonderful practices to and have them living their most authentic lives, the better world we're going to have. And so when like Suzanne and I have been talking for a fairly long time now, and I've seen the growth in what and the strategy and planning behind what Suzanne wants to accomplish. And part of that is my love for meditation and yoga, but the fact that Suzanne particularly wanted to make sure it becomes practice with children across the world. And then when you said this, that your biggest strategic plan is about ending world violence, that all buys into that, because if you can calm the souls of humans, then you will calm that propensity for violence and anger and destruction and all that horribleness that I don't want to see my grandchildren grow up with that, and I'm sure you don't want to see your kids grow up with that. We want a new, like in 10 years' time, we want a better humanity. We want a more peaceful existence. We want people to live authentically and lovingly and with kindness. So I'm all behind anything that Suzanne wants to do in that space, and I just find it thrilling to listen to your individual journey in learning about these things. I was thinking of you the other day. I was re-listening to, again, you know how books pop up. My books are all audio books because I've never got time to sit down and read. I'm always listening. And I was re-listening to Gabrielle Bernstein's Judgment Detox. She talks an awful lot about the power of meditation, meditative practice, and all the different yoga genres in dissolving anger, judgment, and changing your mindset. And I remember thinking of you and thinking, oh yes, I wonder if, and then you've already told me about it previously in this interview. And so I wanted to know now, Suzanne, where are we at in terms of soul archaeology and your classes? Because it's a while since we spoke, and at that stage you had a whole heap of plans. So I just wanted to know where you are at with all of those things at the moment.
Oh, thank you so much. It has been a journey. And Gabrielle does, she comes out of the Hay House family as well. So
yes.
I am grateful. And for me, it's like, I honor Louise Hay. She actually, I mean, she still vibrates through me now. She's the whole reason we're all here in some ways. It's like, and I put, the more we honor our teachers, no matter where they are in the cycle, and stuff. So I was I was working through establishing consistency in delivery. I work in school terms at the moment. So I think that's how my life is going to resonate. School terms and school holidays. So starting term 2, which is a week and a bit from now, here in South Australia. I will be I'm delivering a term meditation program for mothers through a community called it is called Villagehood Australia. It's a not-for-profit organisation. It's based here in Adelaide, and Dina is an amazing and I'm grateful to be connected. So Monday mornings I'm at 9:30 here in Adelaide. I'm running those meditation classes, and there's a creche there, so it's primarily focused at it's primarily focused. It's for mums.
Yes.
And there's a creche, so if you've got kids that are under the age of 5 or aren't at school, that's part of the program. So she and there's other programs that she has there as well, like cooking and art and yoga and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's for the mums. In the afternoon, I'm doing a kid-friendly meditation at the same venue in Fulham, and so then that is allowing the children to find stillness after being on all day. So to find that stillness, and then but the parents or carers are welcome to join those practices. And so these are all in the scheme of things that, as in business world, we would call our minimum viable products, because the thing is that there's only one me, so I can't, my reach is only so far with that, but that's how I am in service to the community, to my local community. So there's that's on a Monday. And then on Thursdays, I've got an afternoon practice at a small yoga sanctuary, about sort of, that's further into the hills, but not too far. So they're only about 10 k's apart. So the same deal. I'm doing afternoon practice for them. And then on top of that, with the school programs, is I'm in the process of doing due diligence, because I have to make sure that it's in alignment with government departments. I have 2 primary schools.
Goodness for auditing.
Transition
for a moment.
That's okay. So I'm for term 2, I have 2 primary schools that once I have the due diligence under order, which I'm just waiting from the government, to be pilots for daily 8-minute pre-recorded meditation practices, which are for the whole school term. So that's 5 days, and any school that wants access to it can contact me. Like the thing is that, or there's parents that want to take it forward to their parents and through the Parents Association, because I know that also has to honour. The price comes down to, in all honesty, I have actually costed it, that in the average class of, say, 25 students, you're spending between 50 and 60 cents a day on your child.
Wow.
And that'll be measurable as well. So, because it isn't, some of the stuff isn't tangible, but there's feedback. So, and contacting teachers and stuff like that. And then there's a childcare centre where I'm doing it as well, is what I was saying, is that I'm working in that early learning framework as well. And then, so that's all to start next term. So in less than 2 weeks.
Exciting.
And then at the beginning of May, which just happened before I came to all of this today, I've just been gratefully received the opportunity to attend a very big event here in Adelaide called South Start, which is all about entrepreneurs and innovation and ventures and all of that. So I'm working on, I've connected with a few people, and we're talking so that I can work on greater reach with the program. So there's discussions around AI and stuff like that as well. So and then that will then enable it to be able to become worldwide. So that's my growth bit, and I'm doing the other bit. And I'm honouring that abundance will come in many ways. So still surviving as a solo, dissolving distractions, realising that you can't do any of this on your own. Utilising, do you know what it's been? Is I've realised that I thought I needed to get rid of that title of solo parent. I needed to get rid of that, dissolve it. And then that title of solo entrepreneur and all of that. It's like we're all together, we're all connected, and I have many skills, but at the end of the day, I just want to teach meditation. But obviously there's a lot of other things I have to do.
There's all those other things. Suzanne, for the listeners, how can they connect with you? Can you tell us the best way to connect with you and your website so that anyone listening to the interview
Our
today...
website is, unless you know someone who can build the website for me, I need a website construction. Anyway, that's under construction.
Yes.
So for me at the moment, I'm working with working more on socials.
Yes.
So
on Facebook,
LinkedIn, and Instagram are all under my name, Suzanne Thompson, or Soul Archaeology. You can get me at all one word, all lowercase. So always / Soul Archaeology. You'll find me on all three of those. I do also have Clubhouse, but I haven't immersed into that yet.
Yes.
So
it's a big
but socials
void.
are
It's a big black hole of lots of
So I mean, you have to really so reach out, connect, offer to connect, and send a message. I honor that I will, I'm mindful of time differences and all of that.
Yes.
And then we can arrange. So then what I will do is I'll personally contact you, and then, like what you do as well, is send a Calendly link, and then we can arrange for a 15 or 30-minute connection to see what it is. And then, and who knows what will evolve with that. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
And also, I'll make sure that all the links go into the descriptor of this interview as well, just in case you miss it while we're talking about it. Suzanne, we've been wanting to get this interview for a while now, and it's really a privilege to get to talk to people at the different stages of their journey. And I can see the changes and growth and the vision happening almost before my eyes. And from my perspective, it's such a rare privilege to be close and see that happening. I'm really grateful that you had time to jump on and have a quick interview today. And I look forward to hearing what happens with Soul Archaeology in the future. I know that you have a wonderful, beautiful, big vision for what you want to create, and I'm glad that I can help in some way. Both Suzanne and I are involved with SheEO, and for those of you that don't know, it's an amazing community and network of women supporting women. And in the background of that is radical generosity and the provision of funds for women and women-led enterprises, businesses, companies, ideas. And that's how Suzanne and I connected. But on another note, just to watch your journey and see what's developing for you is really amazing, Suzanne. That is our lot for this